Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you some amazing developments coming out of Michigan. Now, I'm sure you're aware that in New York, the governor there, Andrew Cuomo, has come under intense fire and possible criminal probe for his direct input into the affairs of people with COVID. He ordered, and his administration ordered them put into care homes. These were younger people with COVID being put into care homes where the elderly were. Of course, the inevitable happened. They dropped like flies. Now, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, she and her administration there in the state have done the same thing. I never knew about this. I thought it was just a New York phenomenon. Turns out this is yet another Democrat state where they put younger people with COVID into care homes where there are elderly people with pre-existing health conditions. And in Michigan, what happened? The same thing. They dropped like flies. Now there is calls for an investigation, not only into Andrew Cuomo, which is happening, but now into Gretchen Whitmer. So this is the second Democrat domino, hopefully, to fall for their callous actions in regards to putting people with COVID into care homes. Why would you do that? Let me tell you what this is. This is people willfully putting the lion in the same pen as the sheep. Okay? And then you scratch your head and wonder why all the sheep died, right? You see what I'm trying to say? You see the comparison I'm making there. So let's get into this clip. If you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video around. There's social media buttons down below for you to effortlessly share them to your social media feeds. I need your help now more than ever because YouTube is sectioning off independent commentary channels, and small channels like mine are suffering the most. Okay, let's go. Right, so let's check this out.
It's not just New York, because Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is also facing intense scrutiny for her handling of COVID-19 in nursing homes, and family members are demanding answers, including our next guest, who lost her mother. Jamie Nicholson is here now to share her story. Jamie, thank you for joining us. I'm so sorry to talk to you under these circumstances, but we appreciate you giving us your time and sharing your story.
Thank you, Jillian.
Let's talk about your mother, Nancy. I know that she was 76 when she passed away. I know that you cared for her tremendously at great length for 16 years after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Tell me what happened there last year.
Thank you, Jillian. Dad and I worked so hard and loved Mom so much in caring for her. And on March 11th, of last year, Mom's nursing home locked us out. Dad and I were prohibited from any physical contact with Mom for 11 months. And
See, so sorry to interrupt her, but anything can be happening in those 11 months. You heard her say that she cared for her for years before she went into the care home. This is the daughter caring for the mother for years and years and years before she went into the care home. The care home that then locked her out. Now, you see, the employees of the care home, they don't have an emotional bond with this woman's mother. So it doesn't really matter to them. It doesn't really bother them. Okay? And to lock out the grown-up children of these elderly parents is callous. Callous beyond belief, because they would have ended up dying alone. A needless death on top of the fact that they die without getting to see their families one last time. That's callous.
Final month of her life, she was faced with even more restrictions, moved to a different facility, and finally died of depression and loneliness. We watched her over.
Imagine that being you. If you're 20 years old, 30 years old, and you're watching this, you don't think that, 78, 80 years old is a lifetime away. It won't be me. But think about the way the world's going now. It's going to pot, isn't it? Western society seems to be collapsing in on itself, becoming very bizarre and backwards. Imagine how things are going to be when you're her age. Imagine dying of depression and loneliness.
For 11 months, fade away and die through a window and on screens.
My heart breaks for you. What was the best thing about your mother? Tell me about her.
Mom had a vibrant personality, even though she was in her different facilities, fully dependent on care for the last 3 years of her life. Everyone around her remarked at her smile, her energy, her laughter. I would take her dancing in her wheelchair and swing it around and play music. I'd clear out all the chairs and tables in the cafeteria and put on the 50s, and she would just light up and hold my hand, and Dad would come and hold her hand and watch their favorite shows together, even when...
So what you're hearing here is a human story, something we can all relate to. You notice if you turn on the mainstream media, it's devoid of all of that. Sure, they'll virtue signal, but you, as well as I, know that the virtue signaling is hollow. It doesn't generate any feelings of warmth or empathy. But listening to this woman's story, you can see that the humanness, to coin the phrase, I'm not sure that's even a word, so I'll coin the word here and now, humanness. This woman is injecting the humanness back into her mother, back into her mother's death, back into the situation of people who are relatively young being put into nursing homes when they had COVID. That isn't an accident. You can't accidentally put those people into care homes and then lock out the elderly people's family so that the elderly people's family can't get in, can't talk to them, and most importantly, the patients can't talk to their families and tell them what's happening inside. This is a crime. You know, these governors, and that's two now, 2 Democrat governors, New York, Michigan, Cuomo, Whitmer, that have done the same thing, right? Why did they do it?
She was institutionalized because he loved her so much.
Sounds like a beautiful woman, and you sound like a beautiful family. I'm going to keep you here with us. I'm going to bring in Ted Goodman, who's a spokesman for Michigan's Republican Party. Ted, I know lawmakers are requesting an investigation of what happened here and Governor Whitmer's handling of this pandemic. Can you tell me a little bit about where you stand on this and how you're trying to go about getting answers?
Sure. And of course, our hearts go out to the family and all the loved ones we've lost over the course of this pandemic. Such a heartbreaking story we just heard. And this story is playing out repeatedly across the state of Michigan.
Not just across the state of Michigan, but obviously New York, as we heard. But I did a video quite some time ago. Here in Britain, there was a very high-profile incident in which... Well, it wasn't high profile, but it was, how to put it, it caused a bit of a scandal. Why did it cause a scandal? Because it was a woman in her 40s who wanted to visit her elderly mother, who was clearly at the end, right? And the care home callously just wheeled her mother to the window, and she was trying to talk to her through a phone, which she had in one hand, her cell phone, and the care home staff had the landline phone on the opposite side of the window in the other hand, because the mother, the elderly mother, clearly couldn't talk, or she was gravely ill, and the daughter, the 40-year-old daughter, was trying to tell the care home staff, look, call an ambulance, my mother's clearly ill, she needs help. And the care home were refusing to do anything, and then they just callously hung up the phone and just wheeled this poor woman's mother away. Would they do that to their own mother? Would they treat their own parents like that? What would they do if we treated their parents like that? So what gives them the right to treat our parents like that?
And in many parts of this country. So Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido announced yesterday at a press conference that he is looking for individuals who may have lost loved ones inside nursing homes and assisted care facilities to file a police report with Macomb County Police because the HIPAA laws do not allow the prosecutor to gain access to the information he needs to find out the truth about these nursing home policies and what happened that may have led to unnecessary and avoidable deaths.
Unnecessary and avoidable deaths doesn't even begin to cover it, in my opinion. Like I said earlier with the analogy, putting the wolf in, I think I said lion, but it's the same thing. Wolf in with the sheep. If you deliberately put a wolf in with the sheep, right? How can I put it? There's no accidental way to do that. You don't accidentally go out of your way to put a wolf in with the sheep, and then when the sheep all die, you feign indignation and feign innocence because you went out of your way to put that wolf in with the sheep. And it's the same thing here. You don't put younger people and people in general really with COVID into nursing homes where there are elderly people with pre-existing health conditions. Why would you do something so stupid, so damaging? And I can't help but think about something surprisingly that is a phrase that Joseph Stalin first coined, which is that one death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic. And that's something that can be applied to this. I mean, so many countless people lost their lives in these care homes that they became a statistic. What you heard from this woman, the first woman that came on this show, she told the story of her mother. And as I said, it rehumanized this woman, her mother, that had became a part of the statistic.
Jamie, has it been hard for you to watch the fight that's been going on in New York? And certainly, I mean, look, all of the attention is warranted and deserved in New York, in Michigan, wherever else this could have happened throughout this country for families to be able to get answers. But a lot of the focus the last, few months has been on New York. And just now we're talking about Michigan. Do you feel like you're a step forward now in trying to get answers?
Dad and I talk about this regularly, Jillian, and it's hard. It's hard for us to turn on the TV. Dad hasn't even looked at the cards that have come in the mail with sympathy. But let me tell you, it also strengthens our resolve. Another thing about Mom was she was a fighter, and that's something that I inherited from her and learned from her, and I am ready. I was talking with Senator Jim Runstad, and he encouraged me to gather our forces and mobilize people as much as we could. We came up with this group on Facebook, like the Parents of Athletes, who organized 30,000 people and got on the steps of the Capitol and had a rally. And then shortly thereafter, the governor changed her policies and allowed those individuals. And so we want to do that too. We have our Facebook group called Save Our Seniors Michigan, and we are organizing and we are in this fight together so that nobody has to go through what we did.
So if you're from Michigan, there is that Facebook group, Save Our Seniors Michigan. So there's something there that you could probably get involved in. But I'm not sure whether and this is my final thoughts because the clip's pretty much at the end. I'm not sure whether it was, I think it might have been Chicago, or New York, one of the two, either Chicago, Illinois, or New York City, New York, one of the two, but they had this thing, it was a Democrat phenomenon, it was called Tammany Hall. It was the embodiment of Democrat corruption, right? And although Tammany Hall may not exist anymore, the essence of Tammany Hall exists. So Whereas it is very good that there are murmurings of investigations going to happen in Michigan, and it looks like there definitely will be investigations in New York. The problem is it's going to be Democrats investigating Democrats, right? And what do you think the result of that's going to be? I'm sure you don't need me to tell you, so I'm not even going to insult your intelligence by telling you. You know what the result of a Democrat investigating a Democrat will be, right? They're going to side with their own, okay? So let me know what you guys think of Gretchen Whitmer. Let me know what you guys think of the possibility that Gretchen Whitmer could now be investigated herself. And what do you think about the fact that this is the second Democrat governor that has independently taken the position of putting people with COVID into care homes with where there's elderly people with pre-existing health conditions? Now, I want people to understand this. In New York, it was particularly egregious because Trump, then President Trump, had brought that ship that had been refitted to deal with COVID patients into harbour in New York, and Governor Cuomo refused to use it. It sat empty. Instead of putting these patients into that ship, he put them quietly into care homes, hoping it would stay quiet. Well, it didn't. So that should tell you what this man really is. Really. But because so many people were caught up in this, they've become a statistic. They're not a tragedy. It's not, oh my God, someone got shot in the street outside. Oh no, there's someone dead outside. They got shot and whatever. Because it's so many people, it stops being a tragedy and becomes a statistic. It's a strange phenomenon, isn't it? But if you think about it, it really is true. So I'll leave it there. If you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and share this video around to social media or friends and family. Help me grow this small sectioned off commentary channel. I thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.